Hello everyone, and welcome to Galaxy 89 Cars. Today, thanks to the team at Super Futura, I'm bringing you an exterior and interior in-depth tour of the one-of-one Koenigsegg Agera N. The Agera N is a result of a level of customer and brand collaboration rarely seen in the automotive world. It started its life as a standard Agera, quite late in the model's production cycle, but was given an incredibly bespoke specification, so much so that it is hard to recognise as a simple Agera. This specification spans from exterior to interior aesthetics, aerodynamics and systems, and I will highlight all of these throughout the video. It is built around the signature carbon fibre and aluminium honeycomb monocoque chassis with integrated fuel tanks. The two clamshells on top are made of a carbon and Kevlar mesh. The car is 4,296mm or 169 inches long and 1,996mm or 78.6 inches wide, and sits with a curb weight of 1,435 kilograms. To look at the spectacular engine, the rear clamshell is released by pulling the catch on the inside of the doorwell. It can then be lifted up and supported on its struts to reveal the magnificence of the engine bay. Above we see the gloss carbon and heat shielding on the underside of the clamshell. It is powered by the standard mid-rear mounted Agera engine, a twin turbocharged 5-litre V8. This powertrain produces 960 brake horsepower and 1,100 Nm of torque, which results in a 0 to 62 mph or 100 km/h time of 3 seconds, and a claimed top speed of 240 mph. But Koenigsegg also likes to flaunt their acceleration and braking combined time. In this case, 0 to 200 km/h back to 0 in 13.5 seconds. At the rear, it features the Inconel Performance exhaust system with a custom outlet. This car sits on the super lightweight, central locking, hollow air core wheels, which are also featured on the Agera RS and 1-to-1. They are 19-inch at the front and 20-inch at the rear. Stopping power is provided by front and rear ventilated ceramic discs. Ride and mechanical stability is provided by the front and rear double wishbones, although full triplex suspension is also available at the rear. Now we've finished the model overview, let's start the exterior tour from front to back. The general aesthetic here is more rounded off than that found in its predecessor, the CCX. There is a gloss carbon splitter and central air vent with smaller air vents on each side. These follow the same design language as those in the CCX, but are much slimmer. They channel air into the brake ducts for cooling. Along from these are the lateral vents with extra Agera R carbon wings, specific to this car. Above are the xenon headlights with the aggressive LED daytime running lights. The casing for these is moulded from matte carbon fibre with a thin but strong plastic sheet instead of glass. This car has been fitted with a bespoke front clamshell, where the central pincer section is formed from carbon with its aligned weave. There is a small air intake along the midline. Koenigsegg really stepped up their aero game from the CCX to the Agera, and so here we find carbon front arch loops to reduce arch pressure and temperature. The characteristic horseshoe windscreen remains with its LMP1 style central wiper. Now moving along the side of the car, we first find additional arch air release vents. Above are carbon fibre wing mirrors from the 1-to-1, with LED locking emblems and indicators. Below, a slim carbon side skirt runs along the side of the car. There is a large cutaway section that widens and flows into the rear air intakes. The arch also helps to create a surface to open the door. Looking up under the door arch, we can see the release button. Behind the air intake is a carbon plate. The large rear clamshell is next, with the fuel cap for the 80-litre fuel tank on the right. It requires a light to press to unlatch it, and the same to fix it back into position. Moving over the arches on either side, we find the small glass window with the Koenigsegg Ghost. There's a small port below that provides a nice view of the suspension and engine, while also aiding cooling. The rear arches mirror those at the front with louvres. The large rear wing emerges from the centre of the clamshell with its struts surrounded by meshed air vents. At the rear there are springs on the struts, as the rear wing is adjustable and can act as an air brake. The wing here is actually from an Agera R and is constructed with a significant performance-orientated design. All of the car's aerodynamic wings, planes and venturi tunnels result in up to 300 kg of downforce at VMAX, up 200 kg on the CCX. Now at the very rear of the car, we see the large carbon section around the plate with wire to facilitate hot air release. The iconic indented Koenigsegg LED brake, reverse and indicator complex are on either side. Below is a significant carbon rear diffuser that channels turbulent air running under and out of the back of the car. Now we've finished the exterior tour, let's move inside. The key here has 925 imprinted on it. signifying how it is made from pure silver, which explains its large price tag. It is noticeably heavy and features buttons for lock and unlock. The door requires a light depress of the button I showed you earlier, and then a linear movement upwards until it is in position. The interior space is quite airy thanks to the sloping horseshoe windscreen. It is finished in Nero leather with contrast stitching, with aluminium in the central column, and visible carbon from the monocoque. Starting the interior in-depth tour with the doors, the most prominent aspect is the distinctive dihedro-synchrohelix mechanism at the bottom. There is a larger section at the top, with the carbon capped door release, leather upholstered handle, and first door speaker. Below there is a small aluminium component to help lower the door, with exposed and illuminated mechanism ahead. As with all Koenigsegg, the sill area is low and wide, which I find makes ingress and egress quite difficult. On top, there is an engraved Agera sill plate with the Koenigsegg crest. Moving into the car, the first thing we find is an emergency hammer to break glass and the first manually adjustable air vent. We are greeted by a flat-bottomed carbon air core steering wheel from the Agera RS. It features a yellow 12 o'clock marker, leather at the 9 and 3 grip positions, controls for volume and track on the left, and cool, media, nose lift and cruise control on the right. The central display screen is physically divided up by the aluminium component ahead of it. As the car features a keyless entry and keyless go system, the driver simply needs to press the engine start button to initiate the ignition. From top to bottom, electrical warning lights, the speedo in miles per hour and kilometers per hour with turbo bar pressure, engine warning lights, temperature, pressure, and fuel with oil temperature, turbo pressure, and real-time engine BHP usage. The aluminium paddle here alludes to the car's 7-speed dual-clutch transmission system. Air vents line the ridge of the dash, and the aesthetic dynamic lines are continued onto the top of the central column. The circular central air vents are opened and closed with a twist and are easily directed. We can now move down to the touchscreen infotainment system. The first menu is for the radio, where mobile devices can also be paired. Phone connectivity for calls is next. Digital climate controls, where fan speed and temperature can also be adjusted, with the navigation controls after. The final menu here is for general vehicle setup. G-meter and tyre pressure info. Performance mode and traction control settings are next. Exterior mirror adjustment. Warning messages, then software system information and sunrise and sunset to ensure the driver doesn't miss the best track light. Screen brightness can also be changed. There are 3 swivel controls below, from right to left. Screen power, engine power mode, and air conditioning. The illuminated icons are made from small holes which can make them look faded in indirect light. When I twist the knob, the car setup changes on the top left of the screen, from normal to rain, snow, and then track, where traction and Koenigsegg's electronic stability controls are increased or decreased. Below is a ring of 10 buttons with ignition centrally. From the top, front fog lights, parking lights, driver window down. To adjust the car's axle lift, rear fog lights, door lock, passenger window down, passenger window up, and dipped beams. Below is a small button for the hazard lights. Under this is a small storage compartment with device connectivity and a cup holder further back. The carbon central tunnel features another small open storage compartment with further connectivity, and the leather upholstered handbrake behind. Running up between the seats is a shield pull for engine isolation, the internal light controls and a small port window. On either side, the lightweight carbon seats are upholstered in quilted leather with contrast stitching. They can manually be moved back or forth using the bar underneath and tilted using the wheel to the side. behind is a small shelf that creates a small amount of storage space. Focusing on the remaining storage space, there's a small open glove compartment on the passenger side. Inside is the tool to unlatch the roof. Below this is a small fire extinguisher. To access the front storage area, move into the passenger side and pull the lever above the door mechanism. The front clamshell is quite heavy to lift, despite being constructed of carbon fibre and Kevlar. This front storage area has 120 litres of storage capacity, for the roof or for general storage space, a very large amount for a car of this genre. Under the small flap is a towing eye, tyre pressure gauge and a torch. If we move to the sides, we can actually see the cool air brake lines. Now moving back inside briefly, we can take a quick look at the removable hardtop with its central glass window and quilted leather upholstery. There are small bolts around the edge that need to be unfastened using the tool you saw earlier. It can then be lifted out and stored in the front boot. Moving down, there are slim, non-illuminated leather sun visors and a small central rear view mirror. So that concludes my in-depth tour of the Koenigsegg Agera N. Thanks again to Super Futura, who currently have this for sale. Please find all their links in the description of the video. Please subscribe for the latest content, and until next time, thanks for watching.